I've been looking forward to Potion Permit for a long time, and honestly, it's pretty cool that I got a chance to review it. I've always enjoyed these slice-of-life village sims, and this game puts a neat little spin on the standard formula. I'm a big fan of pixel art, so I love how it looks, the story was interesting, and I found the gameplay loop to be satisfying. Unfortunately, I have to become the bearer of bad news and inform you that the game has some pretty serious technical problems. That said, I do also have to be fair. I'm playing a pre-release version of the game without any sort of day one patch, so there is every chance that the problems will be fixed in time for launch. This review goes live on the 16th of September 2022, but the full game won't be available until the 22nd. There could very well be a day one patch that makes some of the things that I'm going to show you completely obsolete, but I have to be honest and review the game that I was given. As always, I'm going to give you a rundown of what the game offers, and then during the personal opinion section, I'll explain the issues. If you want to skip the info and go straight to the problems, then by all means, please do so. So what is Potion Permit? Well, it's actually quite hard to pin down genre-wise. It has elements of Stardew Valley and Story of Seasons, but it lacks the actual farming mechanics. Instead, it uses a system that reminds me of the Atelier games such as Atelier Riser or Atelier Sophie. You spend a lot of time in the town chatting to the NPCs, making friends, giving gifts, and completing requests. However, you also spend a good amount of time outside of the town where you'll be gathering ingredients from various plants, rocks, and animals which are then crafted into potions. The created character that you play as is a chemist who moves to Moonbury after receiving a request and essentially becomes the town's doctor. In order to heal the sick townspeople, you'll need to keep on top of things by crafting various potions that treat all manner of different ailments. I won't spoil the details of the early game here, but when you first arrive at your destination, the residents are not too happy to see you. They don't really care too much for outsiders, especially ones from the capital, and for good reason. Moonbury has had a lot of interference from the capital city, and they simply don't trust anyone who comes from there or their medicine. Luckily, the mayor of the town is a rather nice old man and is actually the one who requested that the chemist be sent to the town in order to help and heal his sick daughter. He very kindly gives you the old chemist's house, which has long since been abandoned. It's a little worse for wear, but you eagerly accept and get to work by helping the people in any way that you can. I think the best way to break things down is to talk about the four main sections of the game, which are gathering, crafting, healing, and then the town itself. Gathering is exactly what it sounds like. When you have some free time, you can leave the confines of the town and venture into the nearby forest. As you make your way through, you'll find lots of different resources to obtain and monsters to slay. You can break rocks for stone, cut down trees for wood, and pick special herbs for your medicines. Slain monsters will occasionally drop items, and these can also be used in the creation of your medicines. It's worth noting that you can dodge roll to avoid some of the more aggressive monsters. At the start of the game, you'll be given 3 tools: a hammer, an axe, and a sickle. You'll need to use the right tool for the job or nothing will happen. You use a hammer to break the rocks, for example. Each swing of any tool requires a small amount of energy, which is the light blue bar underneath your green health bar. If you run out of energy, you can't perform any more actions and your movement speed will be decreased. However, it does regen every time you sleep or visit the bathhouse. Gathering as many herbs and resources as you can is a big part of the gameplay loop, and it's basically required for every meaningful upgrade in the game. Alongside gold, you'll need wood, stone, and other items for various upgrades. You can upgrade your tools to make them more efficient and upgrade multiple buildings, which will help unlock new services and progress you through the game. Once you've gathered your ingredients and resources, what do you do with them? Well, you can craft them, or I guess brew them, into a variety of different medicines, balms, and ointments for the townsfolk. In your new home, you'll find a large worn cauldron, which you'll be using in a very similar way to the Atelier games. Each item that you want to make requires the player to add ingredients to a grid in a certain way, and each ingredient has its own shape on that grid, as you can see here. These shapes cannot be rotated, and your goal is to fill every square perfectly. The ingredients come from 4 different types, as represented by fire, water, wind, and earth. Some products require you to use ingredients of a certain type, while others just say you can use anything. All of the early recipes allow you to use anything from the 4 types, but later on it can get a little bit more difficult. After you fill the grid with no spaces left over, you can brew the potion and create it. If you craft a single item like this 5 times, you'll perfect the recipe. This allows you to just instantly create the item without having to do the grid minigame, so long as you have certain ingredients in your possession. And this leads nicely into the healing section, which is where you'll actually use all of those potions that you've made. At the beginning of the game, you'll be taught how to heal a single ailment as a sort of introduction or tutorial, but over time you'll end up with 1 or perhaps more patients to care for within your clinic. If a new patient has arrived at your clinic, an alarm will sound when you wake up in the morning, letting you know that somebody needs your attention. You'll head to the clinic next door and begin to diagnose the problem. The NPC will then give you an idea of where to look by saying my left thigh feels weird or my right arm feels strange, something like that. You're then shown a silhouette of a human body and you need to hover over the correct area to find the problem. Once found, you'll need to complete a quick mini-game to finally get the diagnosis. At this point, you can clearly see what medical condition they have and which potion you need to cure it. If you've already made one, then great, you can heal them right away, but if not, you'll need to gather the right ingredients and make the correct potion. Once healed, the individual will stay in the clinic one more day to rest and recover. Each sick person that comes into the clinic will have a number over their head which indicates how long you've got to heal them. If you don't manage to help them within that time frame, they won't die, but they will automatically be sent to Mathios. He is the town's resident witch doctor and he's a bit of a dick, honestly. He really doesn't appreciate you turning up and taking over his duties, but the mayor's word is final. And all of that feeds into the fourth and final section of the game, the town of Moonsbury itself. You might think that letting a patient go to Mathios isn't as bad as it sounds, but it kind of is. A lot of the game's systems are built on you finding a rapport with the people who inhabit the town. You need to gain their trust and show them that you're here to help, and there's actually an in-game indicator of that. You can see it here on the left side of the screen under the health and energy bars. It'll show as either thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral to show how the people generally feel towards you. If the people don't trust you, they will actually shun you, ignore you, and you won't be able to trigger certain events. That said, if you can keep them happy and healthy, you'll have a ton of things to do. There's request boards, special events, characters that you can romance, and part-time jobs to make a little extra cash, such as sorting ink bottles at the local police station. You can actually stay up pretty late in the game, but if time does happen to get away from you, you'll probably end up passing out and face-planting the floor. If this does happen, you'll find that you wake up the next day at lunchtime instead of the early morning, missing a good amount of hours. There's around 30 unique characters that live in the town, each with their own routines, personality, and events. When you take the time to talk to an NPC or give them a gift, they'll increase their fondness of you, shown as a green bar. When this bar is completely filled, a little lock symbol appears on it, and that means that you'll need to complete a small friend event with them in order to increase their friendship level with you overall. There's a ton of places to buy items, upgrade your gear, upgrade your house, and of course go fishing if you want to. And lastly, as you travel through the town and wilderness, you'll stumble across these wooden banners. Once activated, they act as fast travel points, allowing you to move around the game world quickly and efficiently. You can get Potion Permit on Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. All consoles do have a physical copy available except for Xbox, which is unfortunate. So what did I think of the game? God, where do I begin? Well, firstly, look, let me be positive. Aside from the issues, which I'm going to explain to you in a moment, I really do like what I was able to play. I thought it had good music, the story was actually interesting to me, the gameplay was engaging, and I think it's got some brilliant pixel art. That said, my very positive experience was cut short by a game-breaking bug that halted all progress and literally broke my game. Now, let me be clear, this wasn't some one-off hiccup or an unlucky moment. This was a bug that I could repeat and duplicate every single time. I've tried everything that I could think of to get around this and nothing worked, which essentially stopped me from playing after about 6 or 7 hours. The bug itself is to do with a quest that requires you to obtain a steel net and a certain amount of wood, stone, and gold. There's a path that leads to a new area and it's blocked by large rocks and rubble. So what you're doing is paying to have it removed so that you can progress into the new area. So I was casually playing the game, taking it all in, picking up odd jobs for gold and going to the forest for stone and wood. I managed to obtain the steel net earlier through a small side quest, and I thought, brilliant, I have exactly what I need to clear the rubble, so let's go and do that. As you get near to the blockage, it shows you that you have enough resources to clear it and it prompts you to press X to do that. This is where the bug occurs. You press X and guess what? Nothing happens. The requirement window closes and the game doesn't take your gold, wood, or stone to pay for the removal. It was at this point that I noticed that none of the in-game prompts were actually working. I wasn't able to open doors, fast travel, or talk to NPCs. I couldn't even get back into my own house. So after you press X to clear the rubble, you're essentially locked out of the game, which is obviously ridiculous. So at this point I thought, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I tried for a good 2 hours to get around this, and every single time I tried to clear the rubble, no matter what I did, the same thing happened. I tried literally everything I could think of, including re-downloading the game. If you close the game and open it back up, you are able to play it properly once more, but every time you try to clear that rubble, it breaks again. The only thing I didn't try was starting a completely fresh game because, to be blunt, I shouldn't have to do that. I mean, you guys know I'm generally very fair with almost everything I do, but a game-breaking issue such as this should not be present in a game this close to release. I'm sorry to the devs and I'm sorry to the publisher who gave me the review code, but this is frankly unacceptable. There's something else you may notice in the gameplay footage, and that's the stuttering. I'm playing the dedicated PS5 version of the game, and the stuttering is quite frequent, much more so than it should be. It seems to be every 5 or maybe 6 seconds the game stutters and chugs briefly before returning to normal. I'm not that sensitive to frame drops and stutters, but I did find them to be a little bit too numerous here. So much so that it actually became a little bit annoying after a while. And then I actually remember when my other half came in and sat down to watch the game with me, she asked what was wrong with it. She's not really into the tech side of gaming, but she watched it for a few minutes and said, "Why does it keep doing that?" And I simply replied with, "Well, that's a very good question." And lastly, in terms of bugs and glitches, I noticed that the fast travel banners that I had activated somehow deactivated over time, but still allowed me to use them. When you see a banner that isn't active, it kind of just looks like a wooden signboard, but then when you activate it, a flag unfurls to show you that it's ready for use. I did this with maybe 3 or 4 different fast travel points, and later in the game, I noticed that they had all rolled back up, despite the fact that they were still usable. One of the banners isn't even located where it says it is on the map, so I'm not really sure what's going on here. This glitch isn't too bad, but when combined with all of the other stuff, it really makes me wonder if this game needed another, 6 months for QA testing and polish. It also makes me think of how many more glitches and bugs I would have found if I had have been allowed to clear that rubble. Now, of course, I take absolutely zero pleasure in bringing this news to you, and the game could receive a patch and then all the issues just go away. In that case, I think, yeah, the game is absolutely worth your time. I genuinely think it's rather good, bugs aside, and I would have gladly poured 20, 30, maybe even more amounts of hours into the game if I had been able. The issue isn't with the visuals, the story, or the gameplay loop. It's a technical blunder that really shouldn't have made its way into this review copy. I will keep checking the game for updates, and if I learn anything, I'll be sure to leave a pinned comment on this video to let you know what's going on. In my opinion, as it stands right now, Potion Permit is a rather enjoyable game that was absolutely ruined by a game-breaking bug. At this point in time, I would strongly urge you not to pre-order this game or buy it on day one. I think you should wait to see if a patch is released upon the game's launch. Aside from the bugs, it's a great game with good ideas, but what am I supposed to do? As I've said, I like how it looks and I like how it plays, but what I ran into was a serious issue that has, frankly, killed the game for me entirely. Ultimately, you may get lucky and not run into this bug at all. That is definitely possible. However, my view is, why would you risk it? I know this is a small indie developer, but why would you send something like this out to reviewers? I just don't understand it, and it's such a shame because I was genuinely rooting for this game. I've been looking forward to it for many months, and I was barely able to get 6 hours out of it. If they manage to fix it, I may go back and give it another shot, but as of the recording of this video, I strongly recommend that you delay your purchase. If you enjoy the video, I really hope you'll consider subscribing, and if you like what I do and want to help support the channel, please check out the first link in the video description down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.